MLB. Yeah, Jory, just let me know whenever I don't want us to start this.
Jory's on mute, but I think he said you're good to go.
I did say go. I thought you were warming everybody up, Michael, so.
All right, we'll go ahead and get started. As usual, we'll start off with our just quick introduction and just kind of roll call. And as usual, you know, if you ask anybody, we can have you put that in the chat screen. All right, from Alta this morning, who's joining us? Okay, Bluffdale.
I'm here. It's Grant. Thanks.
Hi, Grant. Brighton.
Daniel Torres.
Got you off the ski resorts this morning, finally. Copperton.
Me again.
And Cottonwood Heights. Draper.
Over here.
Emigration Canyon.
Me.
Nice to wear multiple hats. And I'm here from Harriman. Anybody else from Harriman? Okay, Holiday. Burns.
Yeah,
Present.
Chad Anderson. Sorry, go ahead.
Daniel and Chad.
Yeah, Chad.
Magna.
That would be me again.
I love Magna. Midvale.
Adam Olson, Midvale.
Elizabeth Arnold, Midville as well.
Mill Creek. Next on our list is Murray.
Yeah, Zach, and I think David's on too.
Yep, I'm here.
Morning. Riverton.
Tim today, nobody else.
Okay, thanks for joining us. Salt Lake City.
Joe Taylor representing Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake County. Anyone else from?
Ryan Anderson from Salt Lake County.
Sandy City.
Ivan Hooper.
Morning, Ivan. South Jordan. They're all at the ballpark. See, that's where they're at. South Salt Lake.
Carl Osterberg with South Salt Lake.
And anyone else with South Salt Lake?
I don't see anybody else on here.
Okay. Taylorsville. West Jordan.
Taylor Jensen, West Jordan.
Barry Gardner, West Jordan.
Brian Moore, West Jordan.
Larry, if there comes a day you're not in West Jordan, I think the planning world will just stop. I think that's what's going to happen there.
Yeah, you're right.
West Valley City. White City. And some of our partners, UDOT.
Christopher Chestnut with,
Oh,
sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
Chris,
Okay, Christopher Chestnut with UDOT Transit Division.
do you have to pay with UDOT Region 2?
Planning.
Okay, UTA,
Hey, Colin, UTA planning.
And Olivia Vaughn's UTA planning.
FHWA,
Dharma, community planner, federal highways.
and Wasatch Front.
All right, I'll cover Wasatch Front. We got Jordan Chandler, Jory Johnner, Julie Bjornstad, Hugh Van Wagenen, Samantha Dill Silhorse, Lauren Victor, Che Mosqueda, Tim Watkins, Matt Ryan, Bert Granberg.
Yada, yada, yada.
All of us. You get the A team.
All right. Jordan School District. Anybody here from the school district this morning? Envision Utah. Avenue Consultants.
Thomas from Avenue.
WCG. Bike Utah. And Stomas. All right, that's the list that I have. Again, as usual, if you joined late, please put your name and organization in the chat screen. So that Jory
I
can-
think there may be a couple other people we've invited, Farron Pierce, to do a presentation.
Yep.
Baird, Farron Pierce.
Maria Vyas, also Farron Pierce.
Any other guests today, Jory?
No, if it looks like people are putting, I just say, put your name in the chat if you missed your city's roll call.
Yeah. Okay. Our next item is the approval of the February 19th, 2025 minutes. May we have a motion for approval?
I move that we approve the minutes. This is Zach.
Big Zach. And a second.
I'll second it.
Joe. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? I assume not. All right, moving on. Our next item is a local community highlight with Murray City.
Yeah, I'll just jump right in. So I rapidly put this together because, you know, I'm late to the game on doing things, but just give you a quick kind of rundown here on Murray. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes,
Yes.
I can.
Awesome. Okay. Still seeing it okay? Sorry, I changed the thing. So
Yeah, you're good, Zach.
awesome, thank you. Yeah, so Murray City, quick snapshot, we were incorporated in 1903 as a small mining and smelting kind of town, not really mining, more smelting type town. As you probably, some of the older people will remember, there used to be big smokestacks back in the early 2000s. Those came down, and now we have IMC in its place. So median household income, 87,000. And in the past 5 years, we've entitled about 3,100 new housing units, largely along our transit stations, especially Fireclay, which is our Murray North station area. So a couple of our largest employers, as I've mentioned, IMC, which is, you know, the big hospital in the middle of the valley. It's a level 1 trauma center, has over 500 beds, employs about 6,000 people. plus, all the people that visit that during the day. I didn't have time to get the actual daytime population, but we do grow quite a bit during the day. So the planning, and then also, sorry, the second one is Fashion Place Mall. It's one of it's a surviving, thriving mall in the valley. One of the only ones still thriving. And the owners of that still think that that's gonna continue. They see that as a growing project and not something that's gonna need a lot of redevelopment going forward. So I left this stock image, so I apologize. But planning division is made up of the director, Chad Wilkinson. He just started in January. Came from Bountiful and Layton before. He actually worked here about 10 years ago in the position that I'm in. Planning manager is me. I manage the planning division here. And then David Rogers is our senior planner. He's been involved with a lot of things up at the county. He's very engaged and he's on this call as well. And then also our planner one, who's Ruth Ruach. She's come from a couple different places. She's amazing. I can't give her enough praise. So I wanted to kind of go over some of our current development. Or current projects. Really what Murray has been focusing on lately is the redevelopment of our downtown area. And you can kind of see here on the image on the right here, 3 Hearts, which is our new campaign called Love Murray. These are 3 public projects that we've been working on for a number of years. And I'll kind of go over those pretty quickly. The 2 stars are block 1, which is the at the top of your screen, which is north, which is immediately adjacent to our City Hall property. And then also the Murray Tower Plaza project, which is where our old City Hall used to be. And then we have a historic plaza. So this was just recently, the last of the development agreements were just approved last night. This is along State Street, and you can kind of see, forgive me, you can kind of see up here, this is City Hall where we're at. This is the area just east of us along State Street. Proposed to be a mixed-use project with commercial along State Street and some residential next off State Street along Hanauer Street and 4800 South. It's a better picture of the residential component of that. We're pretty excited. It looks pretty timeless and what our citizens have really been clamoring for. Next would be our Murray Tower project. So it's exactly as it sounds, a tower. So this is going to be replacing the old City Hall. There'll be 2 5-story medical office buildings with a mix of residential behind it next to the park, Murray Park. They will be for sale, like townhomes and stacked flat condos behind
Coming.
right here. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that project as well. Both this one is going through its entitlements, and we hope to have that under construction fairly soon. The Love Murray campaign, as I kind of touched on a little bit, it consists of the Murray Museum, which is the Cahoon Mansion, the Murray Armory, which is adjacent to the park, and the Murray Theater, which is along State Street. So the Murray Museum was an old mansion owned by, I can't remember his first name, but his last name's Cahoon. And that is being turned into the museum that used to be housed in our old City Hall. We've completely restored it top to bottom. I think it's in the tens of millions that we've spent on renovation in that one. Murray Armory is a new, smaller event center, can hold about 300 people. It's right adjacent to Little Cottonwood Creek. And it's state-of-the-art facility, something we really haven't had here in Murray. It's great. It's a beautiful little project. And then the Murray Theater, which is has been a like a movie theater for when it was first opened, and we've invested about $25 million into the redevelopment or rehabilitation of that theater. One of the things you don't realize in historic preservation is when you start digging into the ground, you find running water that's going through the floor of that was kind of fun to experience. Yeah, so we are launching the Love Murray campaign. These are all coming online this year, starting with the Murray Museum on May 2nd. May 2nd down here at City Hall, we're having a huge block party to showcase the museum, and then the Armory opens after that, and then the theater after that. So here on the horizon, is Fireclay continues to redevelop. That's our Murray North Station area. We continue to work with hand in hand with Mill Creek to develop kind of the best area that we can really come up with. This has been a targeted area. The station area plan for this area was really unique. I really focused on a public safety element. As planners, we always hear, oh, the crime's going to go up, high density housing, crime is awful, blah, blah, blah. And unfortunately in this area, the crime was significantly higher than what was expected. And so we took an element of that station area plan and are figuring out how to address community reinvestment and taking ownership of that place. So we're really excited about the horizons and the prospect on Fireclay. Murray Central is the one we're working on right now. This is probably I'm going to be biased here, but probably the most significant station across UTA system. It's the only station that has 2 TRAX lines, a front runner line, and soon to be a BRT line that all converge on this one station. And then also multiple bus lines as well. It's the only one on the system that has that. And so we're really working on a great concept for that area that really showcases that station's unique characteristics. Lastly is Fashion Place West. We're doing an update on our Fashion Place West station area plan to meet state requirements. We see this as kind of a maker space in the future, try to make it kind of cohesive with Fashion Place to the east. And maybe this becomes a little bit more, local shops, local like clothing or, artistic type stuff going on here, where you have the larger retail happening over on the east side. So I kind of flew through that really quickly, but that's really all I had. That's kind of just an update of where we're at. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have or yeah.
Nice work, Zach. That is a lot happening. It's interesting to see, even in a community that is so well established, just how much work planning and development is always occurring within these infill and redevelopment projects. So
yeah, redevelopment's definitely our big push right now.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, our next agenda item is regional connectivity grid study. Who's presenting that one?
That's us. Unless, Julie, did you want to say anything off the bat, or should we dive right in?
Yeah, I'll just say briefly that you may remember we've had Fair and Peers at a TAC before talking about the regional grid study. I'm sure Timmy will get into this. It's a statewide, all of the MPOs within the state. So us, Dixie MPO, Cash MPO, MAG, with UDOT and UTA are doing this study together to look at how we can improve connectivity. And so Tim and Rhea are going to give us an update on the study. Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thanks. All right. So yeah, we'll just walk briefly through a quick background on the study if you haven't been aware of what we've been doing to date, where we are currently, and then what we're looking for in terms of feedback from this group on some project concepts that we've been developing over the last few months. So in terms of the overall study purpose and goals, as Julie mentioned, this was initiated by legislative directive back in the 2023 session. The legislature funded a statewide study to look at how our MPO regions can have better connectivity and a more complete and functional grid network. It's co-led by all 4 of the MPOs alongside UDOT and our transit providers. And really, we're charged with designing an optimal, prioritized, and feasible grid network for each region. Of course, each region is, and different parts of each region are in different places with respect to what their existing grid network looks like. But across the board, we're looking for opportunities to make those networks more complete and more functional for all modes, roadway, transit, AT, et cetera. And it's important to note that this project is not going out and formally prioritizing or funding any projects directly. That'll all go through the RTP process. So this is really sort of a brainstorming and early exercise for each of the MPOs to have kind of a bucket of new projects that might help move the ball in terms of connectivity and accessibility. This all builds on prior research and studies that have been conducted across the state and is really pointed at identifying new and regionally significant connections and projects to help to move the dial in terms of people how can get around within and between their communities. There are 3 main tasks or areas of work within the project are first, just assessing connectivity and grid function, how it's working today. That work has largely wrapped up through fall and winter this past year. Developing solutions is where we've been at for the last several months. We're working on developing, testing, and assessing new and improved connections that are going to help each region's network function better. And then lastly, once we've gone and evaluated projects and have kind of a short list of the most promising ones, we're going to help each of the MPOs with a toolbox to move those recommendations forward, forward them into their RTPs, into future area or corridor studies and so forth, and just set everybody up for success there. Our project development process, is kind of a classic planning process of starting out with a lot of analysis, understanding where in the network things are working well and where things are maybe a little deficient or there's opportunities to improve. We've had a number of workshops with the MPOs, gotten great feedback at the staff level, and now we're at the phase of looking to you all as communities, as members of the TAC, to provide a layer of review before we dig into modeling and prioritization to really understand just local community concerns in the context that these project concepts would exist in. Based on that feedback, we'll be refining the projects, evaluating them using GIS tools and the regional travel model, and ultimately evaluating and ranking them into a prioritized or ranked project list that can then go forward into the RTP process. In terms of what we've looked at through those analytics, we've looked at a number of different measures based on the regional travel model, based on GIS analysis, spatial analysis, that really fall under 4 themes of accessibility, efficiency of the network, resiliency, so how well the network functions when maybe something breaks or is under construction and so forth. And lastly, fair access, just do we have groups or locations where lower income or disadvantaged communities don't have access to regional amenities in a fair way. Based on all that analysis, we developed a set of project concepts, and we're really focusing on that term of concepts in the driver's seat. These aren't firmed up projects, they aren't firmed up alignments. We're really just looking at where between A and B, there's a lack of connectivity and there's the potential for building a connection there to move the needle in terms of regional mobility. This has all come out through brainstorming and in internal and MPO level engagement. And we've classified those concepts into a couple of different buckets based on what sort of need they fill. So we're looking for your feedback as communities, as planners and engineers who just know what's going on within your community. We're going to be circulating in the next day or so a link to a web map where you can go in and review the projects, take a look at what's in your community, what's in your neighboring communities, and just give us your input as planners on how these could be, any concerns you have and how they could be refined. Just in terms of level setting here, we know going in that some of these projects may be a little spicy. There may be challenges that you see. You may know that there would be some controversy if this went forward and is considered as part of the RTP process. And ultimately, that's because our charge from the legislature is to explore what works best for the overall transportation grid, not just the low-hanging fruit, but also the more challenging kind of projects. Know that some of these may be a little bit rough in terms of the alignment. You might see a project crossing through a sensitive area, and we're very open to feedback on how that could be revised. And we acknowledge that not all of these will make the final cut. So really just looking for your local knowledge, your professional expertise. And again, just remember that these are, all of these are subject to additional review, prioritization, and much further study before any of them are ready for prime time. A few of the things that we definitely want your feedback on, just anything you see in terms of fatal flaws or major concerns with any of the concepts. If your community has looked at a similar concept before or proposed it, we definitely want to know that, whether the result of that was, yeah, this is promising and we're just not quite ready for it to be shown on regional plans yet, or it was quashed for whatever reason. We want to understand what you learned and why you move forward in whatever way you did. Any suggestions for refinements or alternative alignments would also be welcome. We just want to understand, the good, the bad, the ugly of each of these, and also, definitely call out those projects where you say, well, that's going to be really tough for whoever does it, but it could really move the dial. It could really be impactful for our community in a positive way. So it'd be great if somebody took it on. I just don't want to be the one doing it. Based on that feedback that we get from you, we'll be refining the projects, screening them against a set of evaluation criteria, ultimately identifying tiered list of concepts. This won't be the last you're hearing from us. We'll come back to the TACs later on in the process with draft lists. And ultimately, we'll have concept sheets and cost estimates for the most promising projects to help start them on a path towards moving forward. All right, with that, don't want to take too much of your time, but if there's any quick questions, happy to field those. Otherwise, look out for an email from us shortly.
Thank you, Tim. Following up on the emails, do you anticipate any type of one-on-one contact, or are you wanting to make some phone. What is it just gonna all be through email? What does that outreach really look like for us?
So that's, yeah, right now at this stage, we're primarily looking at the web map for as the venue for putting in comments, putting in questions, letting us know. As we get further along in the process, if there are projects that are coming to the top of the list of high concern, there may be the potential for some one-on-ones later on in the process. But yeah, at this point, we're looking at that web map being the primary means of communicating about these.
And maybe I missed it, and I apologize, Tim. A timeline on this outreach. When are you hoping to have all the feedback gathered?
Looking for feedback over the next couple of weeks. The schedule will be in the email to come.
Okay, all right.
Thanks.
Great. Any other questions or?
Sorry, who is the email going to? Sometimes I need to track things down. And who is it coming from? Is it coming from Fair and Peers or is it coming from WFRC?
We'll confirm that, but I believe we'll be coming from WFRC and just going to the distribution list for the TAC.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Interesting project. Nice to see our transit partners also on that list of working on this project with you. All right, next item is the 2023-2050 RTP amendment number 3. That can be you, Jory.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Is that showing up on your screen, Mike?
Yes.
All right. All right. Jory Johnner, Director of the Long Range Planning Group here at WFRC. Today I'll present amendment number 3 to the 2023-2050 Regional Transportation Plan. Going to go over the amendment process, high-level overview of the projects, and then ask you to act on a portion of this amendment. So just as a reminder, if there's anybody new on here, what the RTP is. It's developed on a 4-year cycle. It has a financial plan. It's fiscally constrained. It conforms to applicable controls, goals, and budgets for on-road mobile sources. So that's our air quality component, and ties to your future land uses in Wasatch Choice Vision. The RTP is divided into phases. Each of them are about a decade long, for both identifying when a project's needed and when we expect available revenue between now and 2050. The RTP is the starting place for projects to move forward for prioritization of federal, state, and local funds. So if you want a project funded, starts here in the RTP. Every once in a while, we have to make adjustments, right? So these adjustments are due to things like changes in funding availability, local or state needs, modifications to land use, outcomes from environmental analysis or other studies, or updated timelines on development of projects. So we've developed this amendment process. It does maintain the rigor of our planning process. So as you all know, we're in the midst of our 2027 to 2055 RTP. It's a 4-year process. So we want to maintain that this amendment process is as thorough and diligent as the actual RTP planning process. So we do look at financial constraints, public input, and air quality conformity when needed. The amendment process for each of the 3 amendment levels are outlined on the right side of this the slide here. Level 1 is a staff modification. They're reviewed by the chair and vice chair of the regional growth committee. So in this case, it's Mayor Dandoy and Commissioner Kamalo, and then approved by WFRC's executive director. The level 2 board modifications are reviewed by the RGC TACs. So that's all you. And then RGC approves them during their meeting. The level 3 are full amendments, which include a new air quality conformity memo, a 30-day public comment period, review by the TACs and RGC, and then final approval by our regional council. All projects are reviewed by the interagency consultation team, We met with them last wek, and they did look at these projects. And the financial constraints are reviewed by Federal Highways. So on the next slide, I'll discuss the type of projects that fit within these categories. But as you can see with the gold dashes, this is kind of where we're at with within each of the processes for the level 1 and level 2 projects. Recommending to go those to the RGC. So we're almost done with this amendment. Just need a few pieces here or there. So each amendment level includes a variety of different type of projects. Most of these are tied to federal regulations and requirements that guide the classifications on this slide. So the level 1 projects, the staff modifications, they're smaller projects like ownership changes, operational changes to roadways, modifications to need-based phasing, all the active transportation changes, and changes to Wasatch Choice Vision Centers or other land use type projects. The level 2 projects are board modifications. They include collectors and minor arterial roadway changes, non-fixed guideway transit projects, and changes to corridor preservation. And then finally, the level 3 is the full amendment, which are principal arterials, freeways, and fixed guideway transit projects. So they're the big projects that really impact air quality and have quite a bit of impact to our travel demand model. So I'll provide you some quick highlights of each of the amendment levels, and then I'll jump into the project details. So you can see on this slide, there's a total of 11 projects. 6 of them are level 1 staff modifications. The first project there, you can say the list is the Wasatch Choice Vision land use layer. Most of you have been working with our community economic development group. Tim, he'll talk about that here in a couple slides. 3 of them are active transportation requests from local communities, and then 2 are mobility hub requests from the University of Utah. We're anticipating that these projects will be coordinated with Mayor Dandoy and Commissioner Khumalo, and finally approved by Andrew Gruber, our director, at the beginning of May. So a couple weeks, we'll get these. We're getting everything kind of finalized with the Wasatch Choice Vision, and then we'll send this all out to Dandoy and Khumalo and have it approved. There are 5 level 2 type board modifications. They're all roadway requests from local communities to roadway projects. As you can see here, the land use projects are spread across the region, while the 5 other projects are all within the Salt Lake County area. Like I made mention, I'll cover those projects in a little bit of detail, pretty high level, and then move on to the level 2. Want to let you all know that most of these projects came from the legislature approving or programming the counties of the first class highway project fund. So they help Salt Lake County do that, and that's why most of the projects you'll see are within Salt Lake County. We do have one other project in Box Elder on level 2. So Tim, let you chat here about Wasatch Choice Vision update.
Thank you, Jory. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great. Okay, everyone, good to be with you. And thanks to all who have put quite a bit of time and effort into a collective effort to update the Wasatch Choice Vision land use layer. We call this our 2025 update. And you can see along the timeline, the fall 2024 to next fall of 2025 timeline where we are. And we're at the tail end of what we call the community review. And this is where we've sent an email out to you, city planners, the staff, the city leadership, really anyone who attended or was invited to attend the workshops has now had the opportunity to see the efforts made, the input received at the fall workshops, and then a round of review from you, the planners, which was very, very helpful. Helped us to refine and fine-tune the land uses comments from the workshops. And we continue to receive input, very helpful. So we've asked for the comments to be provided by this Friday, April 18th, and we would like for that to be a unified response that represents the community in whatever form that collaboration or consensus needs to take place, whether it's a work meeting or any type of communication, and really just an email from city manager, city community economic development director, or a assignee is great. And we see the map getting fine-tuned and updated, and that's in time for the May 2025 update, as you see highlighted, where the map will then be amended. It will be an update. It will become more of a land use layer that then will feed into the actual projection of population and jobs, and then result in travel demand modeling for a preferred scenario at the workshops next fall. And so I do want to mention that the parks and public open space, that's a very important aspect that we know is important to communities, is integral to the land use layer. However, that we can receive input on the parks public open spaces at any time, whereas those centers and employment and other types of districts that generate the jobs and households are what we're in need of for May and the summer. So the next slide, Jory, zooms out a little bit and just shows where we're at now and how it relates to the 4-year cycle of updating the long-range transportation plan, the regional transportation plan. And so we're still early in the process, but we're at a key moment, a key point to update that land use layer and have it be the basis for 2025 projections of jobs and households for future travel demand.
All right, is that it, Tim?
Yes.
Perfect. No, this has been a really big effort. I think now it's been at least 6, 7, 8 months that we've been working with all of you on this update. We will, this is part of our mid-cycle update to the Wasatch Choice Vision. So where Mountain Land Association of Governments are updating their portion of the vision down in Utah County. So I think I'd expect later this summer, early fall, a new map available, a printed map, if I remember right, Ted or Bert. Yeah, look for that. So,
yeah, and Jory, I apologize. One last little aspect is we said in our last reminder email that if we have not heard from your community, that we will take that as an approval, passive approval or acceptance of the vision, draft vision. So if there's anything at all, please reach out to me, Jordan, and we'd be happy to take your input in the last part of April here.
Thanks, Tim.
Thank you.
All right, so first of the active transportation projects, West Valley Cities received County of the First Class Highway Project funds to improve 4000 West and build a bike lane between 3100 South and 47 South. This project is currently in the plan. It's just to update the phase of the fiscally constrained phase to phase 1. Another project in West Valley City received the same funds, the County of the First Class Highway Project funds, to construct 6200 South roadway from SR 111 to Mount View corridor. And then this project also includes the side path. So the side path is in amendment level 1 because it's active transportation. The roadway project I'll mention here in the following slides is in level 2 because it's I believe it's a collector. For the side path, it's currently in the plan, but we need to update the fiscally constrained phase to phase 1. West Jordan received also the same funding source to improve 1300 West Temple Drive and build a buffered bike lane on 1300 West from about 6200 South, just south of 90th South there, 4B lane. So they received some money to start working on that project. And it needs to update. We need to update both the needs phase and the fiscally constrained phase to phase 1 for that project. These next 2 projects come from the University of Utah. This first project, the South Campus Mobility Hub, is located on the northwest corner of South Campus Drive and Campus Center Drive. mobility hubs are points for passengers to transfer between mobility services, and should be located in central nodes and activity to maximize efficiency. This project's in our existing plan. It's currently a phase 2 need and a fiscally constrained phase 2. They're asking for both to be a phase 1 of need and fiscally constrained. And this project isn't doing anything to the actual station. The station's there on the light rail line. This is adjacent land use. And you can see kind of a rendering there on that picture in the bottom right corner, to include a little bit like a coffee shop, a parking garage, some housing, a little retail. And they want to work, the university's interested in pursuing this to have built construction prior to 2027. So they're asking for this project. They want to pursue some funding to get this built up. The next project here is at Research Park Mobility Hub. This is located near Blackhawk Way and Comus Drive. It's not in the 2023 plan. So this is a new mobility hub that would tie to the Davis Salt Lake Connector project. And they're asking for it to be in phase 1 as well, as that project's going to be built here shortly. They're interested in tying those two hubs together. And the university has recently completed their campus master plan and kind of developed their physical development framework efforts. And like I said, tie the red line to the Davis Salt Lake Connector project. So those are the level 1 projects. No action needed on those. There are 4 projects in Salt Lake County that I mentioned for level 2, 1 in Box Elder County. Let me briefly cover those. And like I mentioned, there'll be an action at the end of this for you to all to recommend to the Regional Growth Committee to approve these at their May meeting in about a month. So the first project is a South Frontage Road. It's a new construction project that connects Parkway Boulevard to Bagley Road in West Valley. This project was funded through the County of the First Class. It creates access to employment centers. This is out in the Inland Port area or just south of that. And it's recommended to be a need phase 1 and fiscally constrained phase 1 in West Valley City. This is the project that mirrors the active transportation side path I mentioned before, 6200 South Mountain View Corridor to State Route 111. It's a widening project from 3 to 5 lanes, help increase mobility, connection between 2 regional corridors, so Mountain View Corridor and State Route 111, and kind of reduced some delay in the area. It's recommended that this project be moved up to needed phase 1 and fiscally constrained phase 1 as well. And then 6700 West corridor will connect 8600 South to Old Bingham Highway or 102nd South with a new roadway. Project will be a 3-lane collector road with the priority for West Jordan being in the midsection from about 90th South to New Bingham Highway. And the plan is to work with the adjacent development and developers to complete the rest of the road to the north and to the south. Project be a phase 1 need and fiscally constrained phase 1 as well. And then 2700 West from 134 South to Bangor Highway. This is a widening project that will take the road from a 2-lane section to a 5-lane section. The state's building or making improvements to 2700 West on Bangor with an interchange, and so this will help with the traffic flow. The project, I think, could include the active transportation project, but it wasn't totally defined, so we'll work with the community on that, and recommended that the project be included in phase 1, needed and fiscally constrained phase 1. And then the last project up in Box Elder County or Brigham City. This is from 1200 West from Forest Street to Promontory Road. Widen the road from 2 to 5 lanes. It's, as you can see on this map, it's just west of Brigham City downtown. There's a lot of industrial and other development in that area. And this project would help with that. Partial funding from this is from our transportation improvement program, and then they're looking at other city, county, federal funds. But it would be a phase one, moving this project up from an operational project to a widening, and then change it from a phase one need and fiscally change it to a phase one need and fiscally constrained phase one. So that's the project list. And then per our RTP amendment process, we prepare a set of technical considerations, similar to what we use when we develop the 2023 to 2050 RTP. Those tie directly to the Wasatch Choice Vision goal. So let me just briefly cover these. There's a lot of data here, but the main gist of this is the level 2 board modifications are subject to these, so these don't include the level 1s. They provide more and safer connectivity by increasing access to industrial areas, new growth areas, and existing residential areas, as well as they provide active transportation network with additional shared use paths and building out our sidewalk network. And then, as you can see on that second line there, all the projects reduce travel time traveling in a vehicle. We compare that no build to the build, and you can see those technical considerations there on that second row. So lots of data on this sheet, but as I said, we've kind of reviewed this pretty closely with the communities as we were looking at these projects. So Michael, pending any final questions or discussion, I'd entertain a motion here on the screen to take these to the Regional Growth Committee in May.
Thank you. Are we ready to receive a motion?
There are no questions. Looks like it.
Okay, I make a motion to recommend that the Regional Growth Committee review and approve the level 2 board modifications for amendment number 3 to the 2050 RTP.
Motion and a second.
I'll second that.
Steve. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Well, aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. And as Bate mentioned, these projects will go to the May 15 Regional Growth Committee. We're planning to have the level 1s buttoned up prior to that, and they'll kind of receive the full package. So appreciated it.
Okay, on our agenda, we are maybe running about 5 minutes late or so. We're looking next at the TLC project awards being presented by Matt.
All right, one moment. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. Hey, good morning. My name's Matt Ryan. I'm a community planner here at Wasatch Front Regional Council, and I'm excited to talk to you all about the new Transportation Land Use Connection 2025 Technical Assistance Awards. This is the main premier program within community and economic development, and it always results in exciting projects. So let's get into it. First, I know a lot of you know TLC already, but here's a quick summary for those who don't. It's planning technical assistance that links land use, transportation, and economic development with 4 key goals of maximizing investment in public infrastructure, enhancing access to opportunities, increasing travel options to optimize mobility, and creating communities with opportunities to live, work, and play. I kind of think of it as a way for, communities throughout the region to become their best selves while also adhering and implementing the Wasatch Choice vision. And there's several eligible projects that can be receive TLC awards. First being plans. This could range from local to regional plan to explore an idea. It could be a high level vision plan. Could be for a feasibility study, a transportation master plan, active transportation plan, even small area plans, or a parks and open space master plan. We also fund design standards for growing downtown centers in your community. And we also fund ordinances to guide that new development within your community to make that actual plan a reality. But last but not least, we also fund implementation strategies, giving you that roadmap to make this plan that you've devised, an actual real thing that you get to see in your community. But this year was probably the most exciting year to date. We got the most applications I think we've ever received at 26. And with the total funding of being just under 2 million, we actually received 3 times that much in requested funding at about 4.2.
Yeah.
So extremely, extremely competitive this year. Of those, we awarded 13 projects, garnering a little over 1.5 million in TLC partner funding and a little over 400,000 in communities local match. And the awards this year, they kind of fell into 3 distinct categories. The first being small area plans and centers. The first being Murray Oakwood Village Center Small Area Plan, Riverdale Stringtown Master Plan, and the South Ogden City Center Master Plan. And while these concern, city identified or even Wasatch Choice identified centers within these respective communities, they all have a focus on creating human scale development, increasing walking and biking circulation, establishing design standards and reimagining how the space can be used, as well as the economic outcomes of investing in these, nodes within these communities. And then the biggest share of this year's awards goes to citywide plans and ordinances, mostly concerned with actionable code updates to spur real-time changes in the built environment, to land use analyses that help complement already ongoing efforts that some cities are working on. But also, we have a few general plan updates as well. It's always good to refresh that guiding document each city has. And so we do a few of those as well. And I wanted to highlight a couple of those, one being the Mill Creek ADA at transition plan and the Uinta general plan, being as Mill Creek has the smallest budget of our awarded projects this year at just barely $14,000, but it will have a huge impact, essentially looking at every curb ramp within the city, as well as sidewalk connectivity to remedy, these curb ramps are out of compliance, as well as making sure that people of all abilities can access all these different destinations within Mill Creek City. And second, we have the Uinta general plan. This is actually done with CED staff time. We take on one of these projects, maybe 1 or 2 a year. And so it allows us to really get to know the community and actually do some planning work and, forge just that really close bond with our partners all across the region. And last but not least, we have contextual transportation. These projects vary in size and scope, but all have to deal with getting people where they need to go conveniently, safely. And the first being Curran's 5400 South Corridor study. A lot of work has already been done on that corridor. This will help complement that by trying to enhance transit service and just create safer connectivity to and from 5400 South. We also have a South Davis Greenway feasibility study that will look at finding a potential alignment for a mixed-use pathway east of I-15, as none such exists right now from North Salt Lake to Farmington. And then the Municipal Services District will be embarking on a transportation master plan, looking at how the district can connect within itself as well as to the greater region, and also influence better land use decisions in the process. And the TLC is not the only thing that we do. We also have station area planning. I know that HB 462, the sunset, is ended this year, but applications are ongoing. So if you have a fixed guideway, a light rail stop, commuter rail stop, a BRT station, please reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk to you and talk about how we can, get a station area plan going for one of those. And we also have other staff support and expertise, one being ordinance assistance. We can help audit, suggest, code updates that can help you meet your goals for growth and also adhere to the Wasatch Choice vision, as well as project cultivation, which is kind of more ongoing. If you have an idea and you want to talk about it, we're all ears to hear your idea and, help you try to, turn that into a reality, whether it's by one of these 3 or 4 technical assistance opportunities we do have. And last but not least, we have the TLC interactive map. This is what I like to give people when they want to learn about the program itself. You can search by project status, project type, even year it was awarded. You can search verbatim the project on the right here, but it gives you a wealth of information. You can see budget breakdowns. You can see the original application if you want to plan for your future application to the program. And it just has it has completed plans too when the project is complete. So it's really a great wealth of information if you ever want to see kind of the lifestyle of one of these projects and what it entails. And then I can share out this presentation, but here are a few kind of primary resources. Our TLC website, interactive map, brief descriptions of 2025 awarded projects, as well as everything you need to know about station area plan certification and technical assistance and ordinance assistance. But I know that was a lot of info up front, but that is my presentation.
Excellent. Nice to see that the application cycle was so successful this time around.
And I should shout out our funding partners to UDOT, UTA, Salt Lake County Regional Development, and the Governor's Office of Planning and Budget. So it can be possible without them as well.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt before we move on? Okay. Next, we will not be doing the legislative overview today. Miranda was not able to join us. Any comments on that, Jory, before we?
Well, Jordan will put in a few links, which take you to the WFRC website. Miranda is super organized, on top of everything. I missed it. She's traveling down to the St. George to the league conference today, and so she was unable to attend, but she does have everything super organized on our website, summaries. So check out those summaries that Jordan's putting into the chat. We'll include those in the follow-up email. And if you have any questions, always she's open to having anybody reach out to her. But it was a pretty successful legislative session for the most part this year. So
thank you. And I know that a number of our planning related partners are doing various sessions always. So there's a lot of good information available out there. All right, so our next item is going to be UDOT Transit Division and the TIF.
Hi, thanks everybody. Thanks for letting me have just a couple minutes to present what's happening with this transit division at UDOT. So just one second. Let me share my screen if I can figure out how to do it. Okay, there we go. So let me just start with a couple of years ago. House Bill 322 was passed and directed UDOT to be involved in transit projects, mainly capital projects. So UDOT formed a transit division to help focus on that effort. And then this last legislative session, SB 174 was passed. Previously, it was just on projects that were receiving state funding. SB 174 says, okay, UDOT, we want you to be involved with transit projects that have funding coming from any direction. So there's that piece of it. And then a few years ago, before that, the state set up what's called TTIF dollars, and it's Transit Transportation Investment Fund. And these TTIF dollars are local dollars, they're state dollars that are mainly geared towards capacity adding activities. So what I want to go through really quickly with you is how do you receive those TTIF dollars, and it's really pretty straightforward. You guys should be very familiar with this. Is TTIF is the first step is to have a project that is on the long range plan. It needs to be in phase 1 of that long range plan to be considered. Once that project is in phase 1, then UDOT, the UDOT planning division will take that project and rank it according to the quality of life framework that was developed several years ago. So that is option 1 to have projects funded. And you guys are all familiar with that, I hope. If I have to explain the long range planning process to you guys, then we have a whole different set of issues.
Send them my way. Send them my way, Christopher.
Yeah, talk to Jory if you don't understand the long range planning process. The second option is through nominations. So a local government or a transit district can nominate a project to be prioritized. We're working right now on UDOT is working right now with the commission to change up how that nomination process works. So I'll just point you to Andrea or Jeff Dupay for more information on how you can work with the UDOT planning division to have a project nominated. Once a project is put on that ranked list, then we get it in the transit division, and that ranked list is basically the transit division's hunting license to fund a project. Now let me kind of back up. The transit division does not fund the project. The Transportation Commission funds the project. We make recommendations for projects to be funded to the commission, and they decide if they're programmed and funded or not. So as nice as you want to be to me and as great a guy as I am, I can't guarantee funding for any projects. So just want to kind of put that out there. Once a project is funded and put on the ranked list and everything happens and it's programmed, you get the money, and then we're going to start to work with you on schedules and where local match is going to come from and all those kinds of things. So for TTIF, the current match is 70-30 based on project costs. So the local match is 30% of the project. And so that local match is very liberal, if you will. A lot of things can count towards that local match, the value of any property or right of way that you have, any engineering work that you've done, any cash contributions that you'll bring to the project. It's pretty open for things that can be used as federal money. If you want to bring federal money into the project, we can use that as match, or TTIF can be used to match a federal project, a federal program as well. The only thing that cannot be used as match basically is a different source of UDOT funding. So you can't get money from Region 2 and then say, hey, we want to apply that to the TTIF project. That's not gonna work. Even other state agency money can be used as match to go towards TTIF projects. So we'll go through and we'll develop a scope and we'll put an agreement together and define roles and responsibilities for who's going to do what. And then we kind of go from there. Just to kind of give you an idea of what the program is happening right now. Since 2019, we've completed 11 projects, should be 12 now. We opened the South Jordan Station. We have about 40 projects in process, and that value is about 477 million across the state. Estimated balance that we have right now, we're probably pretty close to about $100 million, $120 million that we have waiting, and it's going to keep growing even with all the projects that we have funded. So just in terms of a few projects that have been funded with TTIF dollars, we funded the BRT up in Ogden using TTIF. Down in St. George, Washington City, we built a sidewalk and a bunch of bus stops for some new service that went in. The sidewalk in Sandy on 9270 South was built with TTIF dollars as well. We've bought buses up in Logan and Cache Valley. We've bought buses in St. George to go towards new service. And in terms of projects that are coming up, we have the MVX that has TTIF dollars, federal and local dollars in it. We have an extension on the S line that is happening. That's going through some changes right now, but it's in process. Davis to SLC corridor-based BRT is also a project that has TTIF dollars in it right now. We have a bunch of raise grant funded projects that we're not really sure are going to happen anymore, but they are great ideas, and so we'll have to see what happens with those. Down in Bryan Head, if you're ever down in close to Cedar City, we're building some bus stops and crosswalks using TTIF dollars up there as well. So in terms of next steps, we're just trying to get the funding to keep flowing through the pipeline, and I'm trying to do everything I can just to talk with everybody about this process and this program. We want to get a bunch of really good transit projects going and throughout the state, even along the Wasatch Front as well. And then we're continually working to make the process just a little bit better as we go through. So if you have ideas or questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to myself. Jeff Dupay is a great resource for you guys here in Region 2. He can also help answer any questions or help you get through the process as well. So with that, we have a fairly small transit team that's here at UDOT. It's Jim Golden, who's our division director. Travis Jones has a lot of transit experience, worked at UTA for many years. Thad Pinkerton is our construction and then I do program management. So I work with getting the project set up and overall just program health of the entire TTIF program. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have about the program. We're getting a website put up that's going to have more information on it, and that's coming soon in the next year. So with that, I'll happy to answer any questions or just turn the time back over to you, Mike. I talked fast.
You did well.
You're trying to got you back on time, I hope.
Yeah, and a really nice overview. Very interesting to see these updates. Any questions or comments for Chris? See, Chris, you did so well. Nobody has any questions. So.
Yeah, I just blew them out of the water. They're just overwhelmed with awesomeness.
Okay. If I'm following the right order of things, and I apologize if I haven't today, I believe bike facility update by Hugh and Bert. Is that right?
I'm happy to go next. Just give me a second to get my my screen share here going. There. Maybe you can give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. Thank you. I'm going to talk about two things that are on the agenda in succession, if that's okay. The first one is the Bikeways web map project that we're working on at W4C with some partners. And then the next thing is the update that we've done to our compilation of regional general plan map layers. So I'm going to start with this bikeways.utah.gov web map that's coming soon. We're hoping to release it in time for our newsletter in May, which is of course Bike Month. And I'll just start by talking about the sort of general families of transportation modes in the regional transportation plan. We of course have vehicles, transit, and bikes. And if you think about these layers and think about how data comes together into statewide resources, UGRC, the State GIS Coordination Office, and UDOT work together to bring together road data that cities and counties maintain. We've got that covered. We've got one of the best road data sets in the country. UTA and the other transit systems are maintaining their transit route information and sharing that publicly. UTA has an open data portal. But what about bikeways and active transportation data? Like, good question, right? So we're there's been a lot of thinking on this and sort of how to approach this need, this planning need, but also to get information out to the public. And we've trying to take a step forward in this space. Just really quickly, when we talk about maintaining bikeway data in a GIS format, we're talking about the on-street bike facilities, right? The cycle tracks, the bike lanes, the sharrows and bike route designations. And then we're also talking about the trails and pathways, which are their own entities off the streets. So to do this right, to map the bike network, we've got to have both. And just to nerd out a little bit, this is a view of an ArcGIS Pro project in Salt Lake City, where my team has been working with available data and the latest aerial photography to update the Trails and Pathways data set. So you can see the new 9 line in yellow going across the bottom of the screen north of Liberty Park. And then you can see all the other on-street bike infrastructure where we're coding up what's on the left side of the street and what's on the right side of the street in terms of bike infrastructure. And often that varies. So that's kind of a quick entry into like how the data is being compiled and edited. Let's talk about why we're doing this. Basically, we're trying to feed 2 birds with 1 scone. We're trying to keep the bicycle map data current with the latest additions so that people are motivated. They have a place in mind that their latest facility opening should go so that others can learn about it, both for planning, as I mentioned, but also for public use. So let's get it on a map. Let's get it, not have that map be, one city's data set. Let's have it be a regional, actually a statewide resource. That's the thinking behind this app. And I mentioned that we're going to try and release it next month. So let's take a look at it really quickly, if that's all right. So it's a mobile first web map design. So that's why I'm sharing it in this format. It's designed to work on your phone and provide sort of a lay of the land view of what's out there in terms of bike facilities. It does not do point-to-point routing. We made that decision intentionally. It's more complicated, and in that space, Google's doing a pretty good job. And we, through UDOT, are getting them our bike map data updated so that they can incorporate that into their routing algorithm. So by default, we see a route type view, and we've simplified the categories down into these paved path, protected bike lanes, regular bike lanes, and then other routes. And the user can very easily on their phone select out just a subset of those if they perhaps are only comfortable with a particular level of facility. And then they can also click on any of the facilities and see what the name is, and then specifically what's on each side of the street. And we translate that left and right from the GIS world into cardinal directions. So what's on the north side, what's on the south side, east side, west side, that kind of thing. And then you'll notice we've got an attribute for traffic stress, and I'll talk about that in just a second. Also, just for fun, when you're looking at anything on the map, if you click on an existing feature or just anywhere on the map that doesn't have a feature, you can leave feedback and you can tell us that we're missing something or that we've got something wrong. So in terms of keeping the data current, this is a big component so that when people complete a project, whether they're an active transportation specialist, a city planner, in the public works department, the parks and rec, whoever they are, they can go and say, hey, you need to add this to the map. That's a missing function that we've been missing, and we're hoping that we can get the word out and get people reporting changes, corrections, additions right in the app itself. So there's an example of feedback from I'm a biker saying this route just got upgraded to a grade separated pathway, yay. And then that feedback gets routed to somebody to make the change, and we can route that to kind of whoever wants to participate in doing the editing. So I'm going to talk about the other mode that the web map has, this traffic stress mode. We're taking into consideration speed and number of lanes and functional class, and kind of computing a level of traffic stress view. So there's a toggle that you can go back and forth between the route type view and the level of traffic stress view. And same thing, you can select out the things that you're most interested in seeing, and like you're not interested in the highest traffic stress roads, you can make them disappear. We've also got the signalized crossings and signalized intersections from the UDOT statewide database in the data set too, which is a nice feature. So those are the two modes, the route type, traffic stress. We tried to keep it simple. And since this is designed to work on a mobile device first and foremost, you have the ability to turn on sort of the blue dot and zoom the map to the location that you're currently at. And that's another nice feature. So just review of the level of the features in the map, both route type, level of stress. It's a mobile first design, including the ability to see your current location and zoom to that blue dot. You can submit direct feedback, which hopefully will enable us to make quick updates. And of course, we want it to be seamless. So we've been working with UDOT and the other MPOs in the state to try to kind of backstop the data editing so that we can have a statewide resource. And of course, since the data is hosted at the State GIS Coordination Office, UGRC, you can download the data, build on it yourself, do your own analysis. The data is open. Last, I'll just mention on this topic, WFRC has been leading this project. We've been working with UGRC to do the web app development. It's a custom app just to try and make this work as best as possible. We are finishing up our sweep of the entire WFRC region. We've done Salt Lake County, and we're moving north to look through the available data that cities have shared with us, plus the latest aerials to try and get this trued up in the best shape possible. MAG did a similar effort in summer of 2023 for Utah County, and we're working with partners to get them going to get updates in other parts of the state. But we do have some basic data in the other parts of the state to start with. In terms of an update cycle, my group has been working with Hugh. We've sort of sketched out a plan. Our plan is to go to cities and ask for updates in the winter of each year. So send us GIS data, send us a map that you have. Review the web map that I just showed and write us an email and tell us what we're missing. So we'll reach out at least once a year to get updates. And then we'll plan on doing sort of a major pass through the area every time there's a region-wide update of the high-res aerial photography. And then, of course, we've got the ability to make changes as people report them to us on an ongoing basis. Okay, I'll pause there and see if anyone has any questions or comments, and then I'll do a real quick overview of the generalized future land use layer. Should I keep going?
I have a quick question for you. So initially you said, okay, who is going to be the keeper of all things bike trails? Wasatch Front, right? We now know that's the answer, right? You guys, WFRC could be doing this.
Well, I think it's a similar answer to the statewide road centerlines data set that's available. Like the more local government is involved in keeping track of what they've got and then sharing that data, the better this works.
Yeah.
But in terms of backstopping this and making sure that we know as planners what the existing network looks like and how it is changing over time, like, yeah, we're going to try and do the coordination and ideally build on data that we can find from others and then fill it in other places with just that aerial photography review.
Very, very cool. So just out of curiosity, as you have looked at like Apple Maps, Google Maps, those type of interactive devices that map out your path as a cyclist, I'm assuming you're saying, boy, there's a lot of connections there that are just not populated in those tools, right? That's kind of what you're.
Well, so those tools behind the scenes are solving for like how to get from A to B, and they have a basic view of what's on the ground. And we've worked a year or so back to like get an update to Google through their data partner process. But yeah, I mean, like no one has a great data set, and we want everyone to have a great data set of this network, just like we have a great data set for the transit network and the road centerlines data set. So
Excellent. Really.
It's changing all the time. It's actually, I mean, I've been looking at this data for the last, 5 to 7 years, and like it's changing fast. There's still a ton of work to do in terms of building out the network, but to do that efficiently, you got to know where the gaps are, and you got to know where the places that don't yet have good facilities. So hopefully this will help with that.
All right. So on to your next item.
Yeah. Okay. So we reached out to the RGC tax last year and sort of let you guys know that we're updating what we call our generalized future land use layer, which is a compilation and generalization and standardization as best we can of local general plan data. We got data and submissions. We found data on websites. We found data in general plan documents, PDFs, and we have finished our update for 2025 of this compilation. Basically, like we're simplifying everything based on the available data. We're using zoning as a fallback where there just isn't an up-to-date general plan data set for us to use. And we use this data set that we publish on our website. We use it in our real estate market model when we're forecasting where households and jobs will go in the future. It provides us with the allowable land uses in different areas of the region, and also the intensities of especially residential development. So really key layer for our modeling and our forecasting. And maybe it's useful to others, so we publish it as a sort of a best effort level product. It's not a substitute for local data by any means, and we always include links back to the sources that we got the data from. We use this as the primary part of what we call our policy layer for the real estate market model, and then we override any areas that are less intense than what the assumptions are for the Wasatch Choice centers that are just being updated. Tim talked about that. We'll let the Wasatch Choice center land use types and intensities sort of take precedent over that. And of course, these two key input layers plus all what's existing in the region are key to developing the forecast. We'll be coming back to you all for feedback on a preliminary forecast early this fall. So that's something that we can put on the RGC long-term agenda and come back, and we'll have a process for that and tell you all about it. But just to give you kind of a heads up, this is what the GFLU or generalized future land use layer looks like in the middle of Salt Lake County. And you can see the different types of categories that we've got. There are thousands of general plan categories across all the cities, and we've sort of whittled them down to these general categories. Hopefully that makes sense. And then, like the attributes, in terms of the attributes that the GFLU layer is carrying, the city's land use code. So we've got a little area here in Sandy that was coded in their new master plan as a high intensity neighborhood. Max dwelling units per acre of 30 in that data set. And then you'll see in here plan source. It says view. That actually opens up the online document that we source the information from. So whether that's an online map or a general plan, that's going to link out to where we got the latest, greatest data from. Similar map up in the Ogden, Layton area. Just same thing going on there. So we'll have this layer. In fact, I can share a link to the layer in the chat. I'll do that in just a second. But within the next couple of days, we'll have our map updated at maps.wfrc.org, and we'll have the data set listed in data.wfrc.org. So just a heads up, kind of a report back on the work that we've done with the information that you all provided last year. I'll stop there and I'll switch to Zoom mode and drop the link in the chat.
Thank you, Bert. And again, that's a tool that Wasatch Front has curated in the past, but you're now making it more readily visible and available for others to use, right?
Yeah, we did this back in 2021. So it's on the 4-year cycle, but kind of mid-cycle. And we made the data available, but this represents a wholesale update, starting with researching the information that cities can share and have on the web.
You said we have thousands of land uses. That sounded like that was a painful process. So good work.
It is. It is a painful process. There may or may not have been a little bit of machine learning used to try and guide the standardization, but we got there, and we don't really expect that to change in the future. But if anyone decides to standardize, we'll take it.
Yeah. Thank you again. All right, under other business, we need a community volunteer for a future highlight at our July 30th meeting. Maybe while you're thinking about that, Jory, was there anything else that we wanted to talk about just quickly as we close our meeting?
Nothing I can think of.
Okay. Any volunteers for our July 30th meeting for a community presentation? No. Okay. Going once, going twice. Somebody's going to get voluntold here offline, so we can handle that. All right, unless Dre, you want to strong arm anybody right now?
No, I'd have to maybe Mike, we go through the prior meetings and see who's left.
That's
So
okay.
I
No
can go through
worries.
that to you.
It is a good opportunity. So thanks for those who've done it and for who will do it. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and adjourn our meeting. I can't remember, Joy, do we need to have a motion to close?
No.
All right. Thank you all for being here and all the great work that's being done, and the presentation's very good. We'll see you all in July.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Trisha, I see your
Thank you.
message. And the RGC meeting will be in person on May 15th at the WFRC office. The RGC TAC for the Ogden-Layton area will be virtual this afternoon.
Sounds good. Thank you.
No problem.